consider the approval of the vouchers. I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as posted. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And no abstaining, and that takes care of that. Number 6, unfinished business, discuss and consider approval of the well 2 task order. That's A.
Awesome, thanks, Charlie. Josh, you're online. Did you want to introduce Nate? Or were you just there to say hello?
I was just there to listen in, but you're in good hands tonight. Nate is a water specialist, and he's going to be talking a little bit about well 2 and some of his involvement. He's been involved in some of the studies that have taken part in the past too, for your water system. So I'm just here to listen.
So our well 2 building, and Nate will go into more detail, this is the task order for Strand to do the design for the rehab of the well to make it up to DNR standards. So with that, Nate, please.
Great. Thanks for that introduction. Again, yeah, my name is Nate Unowski. I've been with Strand for 8 years, born and raised in Madison, so love the area. Went to UW-Madison, civil engineering degree. I have a couple slides prepared that we'll go through. Feel free to interrupt me, ask questions, but pretty much tells the story of. Thank you. Where we are today, how we got here, and what we are hoping to accomplish moving forward. So we completed a utility master plan back in 2022 that combined both the water and the sewer systems. We conducted field reviews and condition assessments of all well facilities, storage tanks, and lift stations throughout the village. We reviewed the existing sanitary survey, which the name is a little confusing because sanitary surveys come out for water systems, not sewer systems. But nonetheless, the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, goes through every 3 years and reviews facilities, and they provide a report with comments of any deficiencies, non-conforming issues, and makes our job a little bit easier because they are the approving agency for water systems. During our study, we identified needs for the well number 2 facility for the current and new future. The image on the right is from our report that showed several items that came up for well number 2. The value of those items was so much that it was decided based on discussions with the village that we should incorporate a well facility rehabilitation that we'll talk about here soon into the capital improvement plan budget. I'll go through well number 2 facility in case many or all don't know anything about it. Well number 2 facility is located on Donna Drive, kind of in the southern part of the village. Constructed in 1972, picture on the right, looks pretty good for a half-century-old facility, from the outside at least. We'll get into the inside here momentarily, but single room, masonry block and framed member building, pretty typical of a 70s looking well facility at the time. Has a flat membrane roof, and one particular feature, it has multiple windows, which current facilities don't really have windows. I know it's more of a security concern at the time. There's ways around it to still get natural light in, but typically stray away from windows. Looking more at the inside here, you see the well pump shown on the right there with a giant motor located right on top of that, located within a hatch that's used to pull the motor and maintenance it. The well does have a variable frequency driven electric motor. A bit unique to this facility, it has a right angled gear driven natural gas backup engine, and so if the power goes out, operators can fire up this thing and still have run the well during power outages. So it's better than nothing, and as we'll see, it's the DNR noted that that's kind of a deficiency where it's not a super reliable form of power based on today's standards. Facility has 2 chemicals that are fed into the water supply, both fluoride and liquid chlorine, stored within the same room as the well pump, kind of located right where the picture was taken here. The well does not have formal air conditioning. I believe it's not shown in the picture here. I think after we visited here, a residential air conditioner unit was put in to be used as air conditioning as the facility got hot based on the variable frequency drive and just all of the sources of heat in that facility. So couple that, I think, you can see the desktop fan there was used to cool the facility. Again, kind of a temporary situation, but really not optimal. There is a ventilation fan, other than the one that's shown there, that is used that when the backup engine is running, that it still exhausts the facility. Talking about the well itself, not to get too nerdy into it, but the well was drilled when the facility was constructed back in 1972. The well was drilled approximately 400 feet deep, and a steel casing within the well was cased down to 217 feet just to prevent any of the surface water and upper aquifer from getting into the well supply. When the well was drilled, the initial capacity, as stated by the well construction log, was about 700 gallons per minute, which is pretty good quantity for that type of well. No service was done until the well was rehabilitated in 2002. Wells periodically need to be maintained, components replaced. The well, it's called brush and bail, where you stick a giant toothbrush down and you scrape the sides of the well just to keep it clean and continue for it to produce water. So at the time it was decided to drill the well approximately 150 feet deeper, and with that casing extended about 33 feet deeper as well. What the primary concern was the well was producing sand within the formation, and so sand is very detrimental to pump components, where it grinds the pump, it wears it out pretty quick, and you end up with a pump that doesn't work as well. So it was decided to do that work, pulling water from the deeper sandstone aquifer well, which historically doesn't provide as much sand as maybe the upper aquifer wells, or upper aquifer. With the deeper well, the capacity was increased to 800 gallons a minute, which is great. A new pump, motor, and column piping were replaced, which again is great, needs to be done periodically. And the resulting water quality is good, and it still remains good today, which is good to know, and want to keep it that way. The well number 2, condition observations, recommendations, and non-conforming features. Again, like I said, we took a look at the facility when we completed the project. The DNR has been in there every 3 years, makes their comments. So some of the condition observations shown in the 2 pictures on the right, because the chemicals are stored in the same room as everything else, they are high hazard chemicals that deteriorate components very quickly, particularly fluoride. You can see the floor has been deteriorated. The pipe corrosion is present as well. Again, we talked about the poor ventilation and air conditioning systems that are currently being used. You can't see it in the pictures, but some of the upper part of the walls, there's some deterioration, again, caused by the chemicals off-gassing. The electrical equipment, I believe most of it is current, if not outdated. Again, there's new standards of electrical equipment that should be updated. And finally, we talked about the windows, where there's minimal security measures that should be corrected. Some of the recommendations, both by us and the DNR, was to add reliable emergency power. Again, the backup motor in the facility, those were, standard back in the day, but today, natural gas and diesel backup generators are more or less the gold standard for providing backup power. Another recommendation that was put on the DNR sanitary survey was that the well should be rehabilitated every 10 years, of which it hasn't been completed since 2002, when those improvements were done. The one non-conforming feature, again, it's not that you're in trouble, but it's, more or less the well facility doesn't meet code, is the fact that the chemicals aren't stored separately than the rest of the well facility. And so, it makes sense why there's that code. Chemicals are harsh on components. Let's move them away from, the electrical gear equipment, the pump motor, and put them in their own separate room that can have proper ventilation, proper air conditioning to really keep them safe and secure. So with that, we've come here today to show that the preliminary and final design of a facility reconstruction will extend the well number 2 useful life. Again, we've seen that the well produces great water. Anticipated useful life of a drilled well can be up to 80 to 100 years, and so the well has a lot of life left in it. Facility, not so much. Again, the facility was aging a little bit quicker than the well, and so again, it was determined to rehabilitate the facility. So what that looks like and what we'll incorporate into our design will include demolishing the existing facility while protecting the existing well. More or less, demolishing it to the ground. And a new masonry block building to match the neighboring properties would be constructed in place of it, where it would include a decorative brick and siding exterior, pitched shingle roof, and then finally, the more important thing is the 2 separate chemical rooms with appropriate ventilation to keep them safe and protected. A backup diesel generator will be incorporated. The well will be rehabilitated. Again, more than the 10 years that the recommended interval. This will hopefully increase the well capacity back to the original capacity when it was rehabilitated before. The existing motor and the well pump will be reviewed and will be replaced if needed. Some of the accessories, check valves, tubing will most likely be replaced because that's typically done as well. There is a current project going on throughout many of the well facilities that new control panels or SCADA telemetry panels are being installed, and so that's one of the items that will be salvaged and reinstalled within the new facility. And so that and some of the other components, some of the chemical feed pumps, storage tanks will be salvaged and reinstalled just to save on some of the costs for this new facility. Looking at a preliminary schedule here, we hope to hit the ground running if and after we get approved to start this work. Start in January of next year for preliminary design, where we'll get some elevation views to show what this facility would look like, to show Plan Commission, to look at what's it going to look like, what pitch roof it's going to have, what sort of components it will have. After that, we'll move into final design. That'll take place the remainder of next year. Wrap that design up, get agency approvals, any permits that are needed. Move into advertising and bidding, kind of toward the end of next year, which we found to be the most appropriate time to get competitive bidding. Contractors are more or less trying to fill up their schedules for next year. So plenty of time to get the design done to advertise for the end of next year. And then a smaller facility like this, we would anticipate only taking about a year to get built. And so we would anticipate that would be completed in 2026 to then be able to get back online kind of toward the end of the year, and definitely before the new summer demands in 2027. Just wanted to put it down at the bottom there, our very preliminary budgetary construction costs of the new facility and well rehab costs. It's about $1.5 million, which seems like a lot, but we worked with the village to talk about well number 5, just to address some of the capacity discussions of how fast the village is growing and some of the additional water demands that are out there, that, hey, if we can push that very expensive project of a new well and a new facility back by doing this to make sure that we in the village has 2 solid well sources, that makes the most sense here. So $1.5 million is a lot cheaper than a $4 or $5 million new well facility. So that's where we ended up today. I would love to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? So I have a couple.
Yeah.
Of course. When we talked about this a month or 2 ago, I asked about solar. Did you or anyone check into?
We have not gotten that far in design yet. They haven't even started. So that will be something that they will look into as part of it.
Okay, and then the other thing is, and this is again down the road, is the security cameras that the village is upgrading.
Yep.
We want to make sure that's included too.
Yep, that's on my agenda for all of our wells, but
Okay.
absolutely. Solar and cameras will be looked
Okay.
at.
And the $240 is for all 4 stages of this project for Strand?
Did it include in construction?
Just for design.
It'll
Just
be,
the design?
yep, construction will come back before the committee for 2026.
Okay, great. So, any other questions?
Sure. I'm gonna get detailed again as well.
Great.
For a building of this size, I really hope we're considering a metal roof, since we're the ones who have to maintain it long-term. And, as well as an all masonry exterior. Zero maintenance would be the key. And then my third and final question was, it mentions diesel generator, why not natural gas?
It's a great question. Again, I think isn't a diesel going in at 3?
Yep, we're putting diesel in at 3 as well.
I forgot who was very adamant about that. I don't know if that was John Boobles.
Yep, we have kind of a combination of both diesel and natural gas between the village. In the case of if we can't get gas, then we have that we have both options for it. But something that we can definitely further investigate as we go through the project.
Okay. I mean, it's up to you, but it means to me, you know, having to keep fresh diesel in there
Yep.
all the time is obviously an issue
Mhm.
compared to hooking up to natural, unless we're trying to get away from natural as a village, but
Mhm.
that's why I was curious.
Yeah, great debate. You know, we will definitely look through those pros and cons for the preliminary design.
And is there a cost difference?
It's tricky. It depends on the size. You know, when you get to larger ones, I think natural gas can get expensive very quickly. And so this might be not as big, and so it might be about the same. But again, we'll take a look at that.
Okay, great. So we probably need a motion here to approve the 240,000, correct?
We do?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And no abstaining. Okay, thanks. Good luck and plow ahead.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
So, unfinished business, the DN lead service line reporting update.
Yeah, so included in your packet was some information that was submitted to the DNR. JJ had one final task that he loved completing before he left the village in October. About 4 days before his last day, he submitted the DNR lead reporting to put us in compliance. So based on all of our record drawings and visual inspections that we have so far, and the fact that the village is a newer village, we do not have any lead piping as of that we are aware of. However, we have some unknowns, but most of them are copper. So that is what we have reported to the state. More to come on that, but we have met the October deadline.
Great. And we don't need any action on the report, do we?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you very much, JJ and you. So engineers report, number 7.
I don't know if Josh was gonna do this, but I'll go ahead and give it real quick. West Lawn Estates has finished all of their utilities except for the lift station components, which they are working on concurrently. Corey Ridge Phase D is planning to start their installation of utilities starting next week. And the Amazon facility had their grounds opening ceremony today. That will be on the news if you look for that later. Their public utilities are still scheduled for the spring of 2025. Ridge Lift Station is moving forward, as we discussed at the previous meeting. Strand is going to be coming to Utility Commission in December for an update as we are moving forward with that project as of right now. The SCADA project upgrades throughout the village is continuing to move forward. There's been some lead times on the equipment, but we are looking to have the contractor in the village starting here in December. And Nate just gave the update on well 2 rehab that has just been approved.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, director's report.
We had a fire hydrant valve that was with a fire hydrant at the bottom of Heather Drive that was no longer operating properly. So we contracted that out to Hamburg and they completed that this year for us. Public Works did the concrete patching and the asphalt patching for us, so we saved some money on that, being able to do it in-house. We completed our hydrant flushing for the village-wide for the fall as well this month. The sewer vac truck that was approved in October, we have officially gotten that, and we've been using it for the last 2 weeks, and the team loves using it. And then the last thing here is the MMSD quarterly lift station testing. So quarterly, MMSD comes out and they test our Vilas lift station for loadings and solids, and you can get very technical with all of this. In August, when they came, they tested higher loadings than are typical that they have seen in previous quarters. I'm working with some of the businesses as well as MMSD to try to figure out what could have caused those high loadings. MMSD is coming here next week to do their fourth quarter testing, so I'm going to be working with them more closely, seeing how that testing process works and see if we can get a handle on what that is. So more to come on that.
Okay, and didn't we have this problem before you got here?
We
That-
did
that
in
somebody-
2020.
Somebody dumped a lot of stuff and suddenly we got billed for all the extra.
Yep, and so I'm trying to figure out where that's at right now.
Okay,
But yep, it did happen in about 2020.
right. And so is there a solution?
When we find out the cause or what the potential cause would have been, then MMSD usually just averages out the other quarters and they take back that billing from my understanding, and then we give a tisk to the person that did the dumping. So
How do we find the person that did the dumping?
that is a great question, which is currently the struggle I'm having with reaching out to businesses, so.
Okay, because I know we actually put some monitors in some of the,
Yep, and that would be the next step. If we still have, I'm hoping that we don't have high loadings in November, that it's not still being that case. And so with this testing that's going to be happening next week, I'll have a better understanding if it was just a one-off kind of random time in August, which that's what I'm hoping for. So more to come. And if we have to do more testings, I've already been in contact with Strand as well to get their opinions.
great.
That's all I have unless there's questions for me.
Yeah, any questions? Okay, thank you as always. So number 9, set next meeting date, December 11th, 2024. If folks are available. And if we actually have one. Everybody good? Okay, so December 11th, 2024, right here at 5 PM. So now, my favorite part. Number 11. The
Number 10?
Oh, future agenda items?
Yeah. Do you want
Anyone have any future agenda items?
We'll just be talking about the Ridge Lift Station.
Okay. That was so close. Okay, the Village of Cottage Grove Utility Commission will enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specific public business, whenever a competitive or bargaining resource requires the closed session. So we need a vote, roll call vote.
Can we get a second first?
Oh, can we get a second? God, I didn't-
Hackle?
Yeah.
Rogers?
Yeah.
Russell?
Yes.
Stoa?
Yes.
And Williams?
Yes.